Welcome to Rewind with Ellen. I'm your host with the most, Ellen Wanjiro.
Oh, and I'm her co-host, Ro Carter. How are you, Ellen?
I'm good, man. It's been a busy day, but finally I am calm and I am ready to make moves tomorrow. And I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you. We didn't get a chance to kick it last week. I missed you.
I missed you too. How
How
was your
was
holiday?
Right. They were good. I went to a friend's house, and we kind of experienced a bit of a, crazy moment because we ordered our Thanksgiving dinner from Balducci's. So, you're supposed to go pick it up. And so they didn't have their ish together. And so people were online for like hours.
Oh,
People missed
man.
their Thanksgiving dinner. People got turkeys frozen on the inside. I mean, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. So one of my best friends, God bless him, he went and stood online, I think, for 3 hours. Our turkey was frozen on the inside. He didn't find that out until he got home. Anyway, it ended up being amazing, but just everything leading up to that was a disaster. A disaster.
So you ordered pizza?
No. We had our Thanksgiving dinner now. We made it do what it do. How was yours?
It was nice. I went up to visit my family up in Boston, my cousin, and so he has three little kids. So I hung out with him and his parents. And then we went to a basketball game. So it's great. I make a good mac and cheese.
Oh,
And it's been like almost 2 years since I made my mac and cheese. So I was a little nervous about that.
was it good?
It was missing stuff. I fixed it, but initially I was like, "Ooh, it's been a while." So we're back. We're back now.
A brother that cooks. I'm not mad at that. That's
Hey,
awesome.
try just a little bit.
The ladies like that. They like when men can cook.
Yeah, then they just want me for my mac and cheese, though, not for me.
I
You
mean,
gotta be careful. Okay, just a little bit, once a year, just a little bit.
all right. So, our kind of people came back this week with episode 8 titled Sistervention. I loved everything about this episode. It gave me the warm and wonderful feels. I loved like the overarching message, which to me just kind of sounded like it was all about honesty and vulnerability. Like, given all the lies and the secrets that have been leading
Yeah,
up, right? I guess it's only fitting that it would kind of wind down into honesty and vulnerability. So, and the title of the episode is just aptly titled. It's beautiful. And so, I mean, one of the first things we see in this episode is Teddy and Leah having this conversation, and we see a side of Teddy that he has not been given us up until this episode when he entrusts Leah with the business. Do we trust Teddy on this? Did it feel genuine to you? Like, what did you think about that moment?
So later on, Teddy has a bunch of conversations with other people, right? And so I didn't feel those were genuine, but I did feel with Leah that those were definitely a genuine conversation in terms of he was entrusting her with the business, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and he owned that, said, "I haven't really entrusted you with a lot of things right now. I went against you." And then he said, "Here, this is what I want you to do. I want you to run it." And I'll tell you something, men are very complicated, but when we have near death experiences, woo, we change overnight. It's very, it's crazy.
I mean, it's a good change. I'm here for it. I mean, he's been through so much in the last 2 episodes with his health. So it was definitely good to see him in good and in high spirits, and he was just in a loving mood. Usually that's not Teddy's MO. And so for him to give the reins to Leah, that's saying something, considering there was a point in time where it kind of to me felt like he might, push her to the side, and just to be vindictive, maybe you'd give it to Angela or just give it to somebody other than the person
Anybody but her. Yeah.
right, the person that deserves it the most. So I'm glad that he said that. And I mean, so that means what? She gets to close the stadium deal, she and build the expansion team. Like, she gets to do it all. And I love what he said to her, let that victory be the jewel in your crown. I love that. And to see Leah's reaction to that, I mean,
You're right.
right. She was like, "Daddy," that was such a special moment. I love that. And so I thought that was a great setup to this whole sistervention, the conversation between Leah and Angela, and how Angela was there for Leah in a way that just seemed and felt and looked very genuine. And to see Leah be as receptive, open to it, I thought was heartwarming. And the fact that they bond over Leah's marital issues and also Angela's issues with Tyrique, right? There's nothing, nothing like trouble with the man to bring two sisters together. So I thought that was pretty dope. The whole idea of a me day, going back to, being able to be vulnerable enough to say that, hey, I can't be strong all the time. I need to take some me time and sort of regroup, and come back to the drawing board, with different energy. What did you think about the Sistervention?
Again, I always love this show for how it puts out all that energy in the world and in the universe in terms of things that we should be more conscious of.
Yeah.
And so women, regardless if you're a Black woman, a woman of color, or just a white woman, whatever it is, you need some time to just, hey, take a break, take a me day. And a lot of women, especially parents, the working woman, especially the working mom, they don't really take time for themselves. And so I love that reminder to like, hey, you need to just step away from everything just for a second, acknowledge who you are as a person, that you need this break, and then reassess everything. So I love that every episode, there's always something that they're trying to put out there. And think about it, if the world started thinking like that, everybody would be in a better place mentally. So that was a big thing.
The world would be a different place. And I love that the whole concept of Sistervention was peppered throughout the episode, right? It started with Angela, practically dragging Leah out of the office for this me day. And then fast forward, Leah calls Angela right after she decides not to go see Jack in his bungalow, right? So they, Angela showed up for Leah, and then Leah shows up for Angela. So it was kind of like back and forth. It was like this equal exchange, equal playing field of sharing emotions and being there for each other. And I loved that. And I loved Angela's like strong message about, it's not weakness to be vulnerable, to be honest.
That was huge. That's another thing. If we owned our stuff, owned our ish, that line, that hit on so many levels. And I think I've said it in another episode. It's like, you can really move as a person when you start owning your stuff and say, hey, this is where I failed you or failed myself. Now let me right those wrongs and kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the combo that they both had about Angela's mother, right? So to see Leah be open to having the conversation, considering how it started, she was anti-Angela. She hated this concept of Angela's mother ruined her childhood, broke up her family. So for Leah to be in a space to say to Angela, like, I can only imagine what your mother must have gone through with my father, or as a result of my father's actions. I was like, yo, talk about evolving, right? Emotionally and mentally, that's not always easy. So I love that this show challenges these characters in a way that we can look at them and relate to them and feel like they are authentic, right? Because they could have easily made Leah the person that just never, exercises any humility or anything that lends to some sort of arc emotionally. So that was a scene that really struck for me. Like, okay, all right, I'm here for you. I'm here for you, Leah. And then our boy Jack is back in the mix. And that whole poolside scene, what did you think of the way he pulled up with the hotel key, the bungalow key card?
I mean,
yikes.
I'm trying to think. I think I may have done that one time in my life in Vegas. That was very weird. Yeah. I did a key card thing one night. Got to be careful with that. You just don't want random people coming into your stuff.
So it worked.
No, it did not work. It did not work at all. No, it didn't. I wasn't even there even to make it work. Vegas, whole nother conversation. But anyway, that was tempting, right? So now she can say, hey, you know what? my man was acting a fool. Raymond was acting a fool, so now I can get him back. And I love that she didn't take that opportunity to do that.
Me too.
We'll see what happens with that story because he got a beat down later.
Yes, he did. Oof.
I was like, ooh,
Oof.
I
Good
don't
for
know. I
you,
was hoping
Raymond.
he was like, oh, he's gonna kill him. Like, no.
Right. I mean, he was disrespectful. He deserved that beat down on so many levels. Like what he said about Leah to her husband. Like, come on, bro. First of all, you swindle me out of our partnership, and then you have the nerve to say, I could take Leah off your hands. Oh, he deserved to get his
Yeah, I was like, oh.
wind knocked out of him. Absolutely right. Which is exactly what Raymond ended up doing, and it was beautiful. It was gratifying to watch that. But listen, but when I saw Jack in this episode, he looked good to me. There was a part of me at the beginning of this episode that I was like, "Oh, Leah, what are we gonna do with that? What are we gonna do with this?"
I think we're gonna have to see some flashbacks.
Right? Yeah. I mean, he had a fresh cut. Like he was looking on point. Like I feel like
He
that
was gone for six episodes. He was working out. What do you think? He was doing? He's like, oh man, everybody's ripped at this show. I gotta get in the gym.
I gotta get my stuff together. That's hilarious. Yeah. So Coyton's to Jack Harmon or not. We're gonna go back to your theory towards the end of this because that might not be the end of him. One of my favorite moments, which was also heartbreaking, was Nikki and Nate's father-daughter moment that turned into somewhat of a complicated moment for Nate, right? Keeping in mind, this is a man that's been in prison for 17 years. He's probably only been out a couple of weeks. I don't know. With the show, it could be 2 days. Who knows? And so he sees two police officers walk towards him, and he naturally assumes that they're there for him or to arrest him. So he has a panic attack. He freezes. Poor Nikki doesn't know what's going on, and she's trying to, try to get him, to calm down. And so, and you and I talked about this before. He says some words that kind of had both of us feeling like, wait a minute, I don't know about Nate. I don't know, where he's leaning towards. He asked his daughter Nikki to call Teddy Franklin's lawyer. But then the words after that were, it was an expensive store. Maybe they got the wrong idea. So
yeah, I was like,
what does that mean?
Yeah. I had no clue. So maybe that's what he did, because we still haven't found out what he actually did. We know what he did, but what led up to his situation, we still didn't find that all out.
But I'm thinking it has to do, like, since he's been home, maybe he went to a store, maybe something happened that was taken the wrong way. Because for him to say it was an expensive store, maybe they got the wrong idea. He did something while on the island after coming home. And so that's going to reveal itself at some point. So do we trust Nate? Like, I don't know. What is he doing that could potentially cause him to get locked up?
I think I trust Nate. I just don't know. He still has his old ways, right? It's just like, I'm trying to adapt slowly to this new environment, not only of family, but also getting out. So that's a whole different mindset. So things that I think I could get away with, or what I could just say, hey, I write an IOU. I can't do that in real life. You do some time for that. So I think he has a good intent because he's trying to spend time with his daughter. Instead of most people when they get out of prison, like, I'm trying to go to the strip club. He ain't trying to go to the strip club. He's like, I'll spend time with my daughter. I was like, really?
Okay.
16 years? You're trying to spend time with your daughter? All right.
Right. And I love how present he is in those moments, right? Like he wants to get back into, get back the time that he never had. So it comes across genuine, but to your point, he might still have some old ways that are hard to shed now that he's part of everyday life and everyday rich life. So that's
he's not rich, so he's like,
no doubt, right?
Removed.
He wants that.
2 people removed, so he's trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Right. Oof. That could end up real dicey for Nate. I hope not. All right. Another special scene, but might be questionable, was the moment between Tyrique and Teddy. right before the birthday party, Tyrique comes to Teddy, and they have this real heart-to-heart moment. Teddy apologizes to Tyrique for lying about his father's suicide for so long. And it felt like a genuine moment. And it's always refreshing to see two men, period, converse about potential depression, right? And so for Teddy to be on the end of, yo, it's important for you to have someone to talk to. Otherwise, you're going to go down a rabbit hole and it could be really bad. And then to see Tyrique sort of warm up to that, and although he really didn't open up, which has been a struggle for him throughout this episode. I mean, how did that moment make you feel?
So that was, I took it in a different way.
Okay.
I feel Teddy has his own intentions, because the look after he gave Tyrique a hug was like, I'm setting him up. So I think he planted the seed, because maybe Tyrique was thinking in the back of his head, like, how am I going to do all this stuff for my dad? I'm trying to figure it out. But when someone says it out loud, all of a sudden it hits you even more. So I don't know. He's like, yeah, I don't want you to go down this black hole. Now your mind is just, and you see that later, right? When he starts drinking at the party. So his mind goes way out of, like all over the place in terms of what could happen, or what's really going on with my dad. Now that's affected him and Angela. So I think Teddy knows what he's doing, man. He's been around for a while. He's just planting little seeds here and there, and then watching it go. Just go out there and be you.
Because he definitely made a note to say to Tyrique, I locked in the date for you to pitch the VIP stadium contract. Like, he slid that in real nice.
Yeah.
After showing him all this love and attention in a moment where Tyrique really needed it. And Tyrique ate it up. Like, he was like, thank you so much, Teddy. Thank you for being there for me. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know that we can trust Teddy just yet. But the look on his face when Tyrique leaves, I didn't interpret it the way that you did. I kind of looked at it as Teddy having a moment of, feeling proud that he could offer those words to Tyrique. And maybe there's a part of him that looks at Tyrique as his son, right? So it felt like a tender, loving moment, but you never know.
I don't trust Teddy.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I loved that every scene before or leading to the Harlem Renaissance themed birthday party, it was a nice setup to this birthday party. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. It was a different sort of vibe. I loved it that they incorporated the Harlem Renaissance era, and it was Black vintage glam. It was beautiful. I literally felt like I'd stopped watching one show and now I was back in the 20s, and it was a completely different show. So kudos to who came up with that scene. The costume designs were beautiful, finger waves, beaded flapper dresses, zoot suits, top hats. Oh my God, it was absolutely beautiful to watch. And the fact that Leah, Angela, Nikki, and Lauren put together a dance in honor of Teddy's birthday, I thought that was really fly. Talk to me about your perspective of that birthday for Teddy.
Yeah, that whole event was beautifully done. I mean, I was thinking about, wow, they rehearsed for this. Like, even the 1-2 steps, they really did. So that was beautiful. It reminded me of Harlem Nights. It reminded me of all the classic Black films that you see us come together. And the outfits were beautiful. It's like you're gonna see so many themes from this show, I think, to come for future parties and outings. So it was beautifully done. And then the father-daughter thing, that dance you always hear about, or when you get married and you're seeing that come to fruition in terms of like the generations of his daughters and their kids, and he's dancing with all of them, before maybe his last dance. You don't know.
Interesting.
But it was a special moment to share.
Absolutely. And I loved that dance, the Lindy Hop. I mean, they went all out. I think my favorite outfit was Tyrique's green zoot suit. I mean, when you think about how fashion has evolved over the years, like, at one point that was the in thing, just these oversized suits, these exaggerated shoulders, the elongated, body frame. Just job well done with the costume.
I thought he went into Steve Harvey's closet for a little bit. I was like, oh, that green number. All right, all right.
Oh, that's hilarious. And so it's a great segue to Quincy. I mean, we finally get some meat from Quincy's character, played by Kyle Berry. I've always thought that he does a good job when he shows up each episode, but there was something about this episode, obviously, because he sort of owns and steps into his truth finally. And, you know, I saw him in a completely different light. You know, him. And I love that he found the strength to be honest with his father, and his father received it well. Like, I was ready for Raymond to just shut it down, storm off, and not be there for him. But, you know, it was the opposite.
Raymond's a very 2021 you know, dad, in terms of he's open-minded to everybody. Oh, you know, you like girl, it's all right, baby, you can do that. Just figure your life out.
That's true.
Whatever you want to do, it's fine. I'm fine with it. So that says a lot to Black men and Black male figures being open to a new generation of kids that are just trying to figure it out. Whereas before it's like, no, not in my house. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing, showing the next generation of growth, which is huge. But Raymond had a big point, right? He's like, you know, I want to build this, you know, generational. I want to pass this down. And so for him to say, his son to open up and be like, hey, Dad, this isn't my path. But I wasn't sure if it was like, I'm a kid and I want to get some booty, and that's why I want to change some things up, you know, or is he really focused? So I have to see, because again, he was really just interested in the girl. He wanted to thank her for that later and say, hey, thank you for opening my mind to following my path. But how hard is he going to work on it now? I have to really see that, to trust his words.
I mean, I kind of feel that he's in it. I mean, for him to finally have that conversation, and for him to say, I'm not going to fight for something I don't love just because my family has planned it for me. Let me fight for what I do love. Like, I took that as this young man is ready to do what he wants to do. Now, I didn't even know that he had hopes and dreams of being in the NBA. Like, at no point did that come up.
Like, really? NBA? You're 5'6". What are you talking about?
Right. And then we haven't seen anything leading up to that, with the exception of him shooting hoops, like in some random basketball court, wherever, unless we missed something. So the NBA thing threw me off. Like, wait, what? How's that gonna work? Is he gonna buy his way into the NBA?
So that's my point. Is like you're saying that those words based on you have something to fall back on. If you didn't have anything to fall back on, I think the words come off a little differently. I'm passionate, Dad. This is my life. You know, it's like, well, you know, I'm gonna try it out. If it doesn't work, I got something to come back to. You know, so I don't know.
Unless they're holding that card close to the chest, meaning the show, and purposely did not show Quincy's sort of journey, because that's going to come in season 2. Like, I don't know. But now,
I mean, we're still in the summer technically, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
okay.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if we are technically still in the summer, then all right, we'll see what happens in the fall.
Right. Right. That's hysterical. And I also love that he has a potential love interest with Simone, Miss Jackie's granddaughter, who's Miss Jackie don't play.
Not today. She said anybody else, but not this one. Anybody. She said anybody else. Anybody else, not this one.
That's what I call a grandmother that shows up and shows out, and then just shut the door in his face. Like, go on, go away.
I'll get you fired. You better chill.
So, you know, if that's going to be Quincy's journey with Simone, it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate around Miss Jackie, because she's going to be a problem.
Big problem.
We shall see. Yeah. So we talked about Raymond and Jack duking it out earlier. And so why did I bring that up? Right. So Jack, were we ever clear that we didn't trust Jack?
Well, only because in the beginning, Raymond said, "Hey, I wasn't spoon fed like you were." So some of that privilege, like Jack was already privileged. They grew up together like that, and so I had to work for mine. You didn't work for anything. You were handed it. So we always felt a little bit like, oh, one of those guys. Trust fund babies. That's it though. I never felt any other thing but the trust fund. And then when he kissed Leah that one night, so I don't know.
Because he totally just shitted on Raymond by giving Teddy his shares.
Yeah.
And so now they're no longer in partnership. So I guess it wasn't clear to me, or it hadn't been clear to me, that the beef was official. Like, I am going to somehow get you back. Yeah, that was a little surprising, but maybe not.
And I might change my story now, because I don't know if that's his kid, because I think after you punched me, or before you punched me, I'm definitely saying, so you know what, player? I tapped that one time. He didn't bring that up at all. He said, let me take it off your hands.
That's
or saying, hey, we had some in the past, right? If that's not the best time to bring it up.
That's a good point.
Right?
But that would not be in his best interest, especially because now he's in business with Teddy. He can't go saying that about Teddy's daughter.
He just got knocked out. I'm just saying.
But that's going to blow back on him through Teddy, though. He doesn't care about Raymond, but him putting that out there about Leah, I could see Teddy. Yeah, that wouldn't be wise. But then we
have another theory. We have another theory. We're going to try to see what happens.
We'll see how that plans out. So what did you? And I've been very excited to ask you your thought on this. What did you think about Angela asking Nate?
Oh, I was like,
what did you think about that?
And Tyrique comes in the room like, brother, oh man,
oh my God.
She did ask you to leave, right, brother? She did ask you, right? She asked you nicely, you gonna leave? Well, smack them.
Not when you walk in drunk. You walk in drunk. I'm coming.
You messed up. He messed up everything. I'm a fun drunk. I'm a lovable drunk. I don't say anything stupid. I just want to cuddle. That's the way you should all be. Not violent, just want to cuddle. So in that case, he's gonna find out later, because it was before she even dropped the bomb. Because if I was him, I would be like, oh, so by the way, I'm gonna be living here, so I don't want you coming up in here anymore.
Right.
Woo. But that's a big one. I love what Angela said to start it off. Hey, I want to build the family for our daughter. And so she gave him boundaries. There wasn't, even when they hugged though, there wasn't anything there. But I think Tyrique might have pushed the card or the envelope to be like, oh, maybe there's some sparks here. So he messed up. He messed up.
Yeah.
But I'm not condoning it. No, I'm not. Sorry, to answer your question, no. He can do the outhouse, maybe. He can't do the in.
Wait, he can't live in there? He can't live in the house? Why not, though? How are they supposed to work on them being a unit before Nikki goes off to college and he's living in the outhouse?
Down the street. What does he need to be in the house for?
So they can exist, the three of them together.
Hey, Dad is outside. You want to talk to him, you just go talk to him outside. What do you
think? And co-parent together.
The girl is 27 years old. In 3 episodes, she aged like 20 years. She's 27.
That's so funny. And it's funny that you say that, because in that moment when Angela said that, I was like, Nikki is not 7. She's 17. Does she really need them both in the house? But she does, right? Because she's
like, honey, let's adopt an 18-year-old. Really, really pretty 18-year-old female. That is great. That sounds like a good idea. You know what, honey? That does sound like a good idea.
I don't know. I think it could be beneficial.
She is 8. I'm sorry. She's 17. She's 17. The guy can't live on the same block. He can't afford to live in the same block, but can he not live?
He can't afford to do nothing but move into the house with them. That's what he can afford to do right now. Yes.
Okay. So I see that scenario, but I would at least spend my time out as much as I can as Teddy's place, because they got extra houses, until he says, "Hey, son, by the time for you to leave. I'm just saying, it's only been a week. You just got there. Like, figure some things out first. Get a job first. Hey, say Teddy, let me get this thing going until Labor Day, and then I'm out. That's the fairest thing to do. I think you're rushing and forcing so many things. The guy was incarcerated for 16 years. Angela never spoke to him. She just found out her dad is alive. Like, really?
It's interesting that you are anti this and I am for this.
I know. I'm actually surprised.
Wow. I mean, but we know that they are setting this up for Nate and Angela to be closer, and so then something's going to come out of that.
Listen, I'm still annoyed about the whole cutting of the hair night out of the fire pit. All right? That was already too much. Brother had to have his shirt off for that. Unnecessary. It's unnecessary. But, and can we get something for the brothers, please? If I see one more dude with their shirt off in this show, God damn it.
I mean, what you got Leah in a bathing suit. She looked pretty hot, poolside.
For 2 seconds.
Well, we can't really see that much of a woman the way we can of a man.
Listen, I'm not asking for anything crazy. I'm just saying with the ratio to male flesh to woman flesh is very uneven. That's all I'm saying.
Yay for me.
But another episode.
Hopefully you'll get your wish in the next 4 episodes. Who knows?
Yeah, winter comes and then everybody's bundled up. That's great.
Right. And then you have to wait until the next season.
Yeah, next summer.
I loved that Raymond and Leah finally made up. Right? They got to a place of honesty and vulnerability. Leah, laid some things down and she was very open, and Raymond received it well. So I'm glad that she took heed to Angela's advice to be honest and vulnerable, with your husband, because really that's who you should be honest and vulnerable with. Like, no matter how difficult it's going to be, but a lot of good comes out of being honest versus lying. So I love that message, right? Not only between the 2 sisters, but also between the husband and the wife, so that this marriage is not for nothing. So I loved that.
I think that there's a power struggle there, though, right? When we reach a certain level, it's like, she explained, hey, I didn't know how to. My dad didn't let me in; he shut me out. And so, how do I say it to my husband? When I told him I got it, I'm going to take care of it. And so that's the hardest part when especially if you reach another level or plateau. You did plateau in terms like, hey, I reached the ceiling now. What can I do? Mm-hmm. And so now you're stuck. So I don't want to admit that, hey, I couldn't get there. I couldn't surpass it. So now I just like, oh yeah, we're working on it. Just hey, I can't do it. That's it. And then we move from there and work on it. So let's work together though and build this. We could have saved 5 episodes if she would have told that. I'm just telling you, we could have saved 5 episodes.
Right. I love what Leah. Yeah, I love what Leah said to him. She said, "Do you no handcuffs?" I like that.
Oh, can we go to? Sorry, I'm gonna skip this up before I forget.
Yeah.
Raymond and Teddy. Woo!
Oh, that was spicy.
I quoted there were so many good one-liners. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were.
They like just the my brother, the extra thing like that, and calling him out. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I could ever. I think Raymond spoke for every man out there whose father-in-law was just like, oh, I wish I could say some things to you, but I can't. And he just went in, and that moment you really see Teddy like, all right, that's okay, all right. He hit him with 1 or 2, but Raymond hit him with that. You're afraid to be alone. That's why you do the things you do. And I was like, oh. He was like, oh, all right, brother. Happy birthday, brother. I was like, oh, damn. And hit him with the brother after me.
Raymond had been holding on to some feelings, to some emotions, and it all came out in that one phone call. But I loved how cool and reserved Teddy was. Like, Teddy didn't even look bothered. His voice was calm the entire time. Like, oh, all right, little boy, you don't know who you're dealing with. Yeah, so it's clear that there's no, there's no love between those two. So God only knows how that's going to end up and how Leah is going to be able to manage. Because if things get worse between Raymond and Teddy, Leah's in the middle. Who's she going to choose? Like, what's she going to do?
Well,
Right?
at this point, I think Teddy already set the path for her to, like, what you gonna do?
Good point.
Yeah.
He set that up so that she has no choice but to lean into that direction, because now she's the head of things and she's not going to give that up for her marriage. Yikes.
Nope.
Yikes. Okay. Yeah, and so the last thing, Lauren finds the key to Jack's bungalow in Leah's car. First of all, why would you leave the damn key in the cup holder in a drop top? Like, come on, there couldn't have been a more creative way to stash that key for somebody to find it? Come on, man.
I'm gonna tell everybody one time on this show on blackfilm.com. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if someone ever gives you a hotel room key card and you have no part of that hotel room, it's not with your significant other, you throw that key out.
Cut it out. Hey, cut it out.
You don't even keep it as a memory. You chuck that. You try to skip it in the water. Don't want to pollute though. Just get back to the hotel. Just anybody but yourself should have it.
Agreed. Because then now what's that going to lead to? Right? I could see Lauren saying something to her father. Then that's going to disrupt the awesome work they just did in getting back together. Like, what's that going to look like?
Well, I don't know, because Lauren spoke to her mom and she was like, I felt we've been distanced, but I like where we're at now. I like the place we're at, and I want more of this. And she's like, hey, don't think I'm just daddy's little girl. I want to be mommy's little girl too, but we've had so much back and forth over the summer. And so now we're trying to bring that back together. So, and then she finds the card. So maybe that it's an honest conversation amongst women. Be like, hey, I found this in your car. What's going on here? I called the number. Jack, is there something I should know?
Yeah, just knowing how Lauren is.
You don't like her. You never like her.
She's going to use that against her mother. That's what she's
going to do. Changed.
I don't know about that. We shall see. So, I mean, overall, this episode was fantastic. I loved everything about it. I mean, we say that about every damn episode, but the more the episodes go by, the more we see these relationships matriculate in such a way that is like, oh, I'm really loving these characters and how they're growing. So I can't wait to see where the next 4.
Was this episode 8?
This was episode 8. So this entire time I've been thinking there's only 8 episodes in the season. Come to find out there's 12. So we have more time. We have more shows to see where the cards will fall. So.
Yeah. Shout out to this show again. They raise the bar every week. They continue to raise the bar, and I'm waiting for like, oh God, this drag. No, it's always good. Always keeps you on your toes. The storylines are great. The characters, the way they build them up, and once you forget about a character, like, hey, I'm back, and then so it's nice. So new energy to the cast, which is great.
And I'd read somewhere that the show isn't doing as well as it was expected. And I'm like, why? And so there were some talks about it moving to a streaming platform. It might do better there. So I was like, is that it? Are people not watching prime time? Is it a Fox? Like, what is it that the numbers aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing?
I have to see one. So for me, if we weren't doing the show, this is something I would love to stream and watch it on my own. But yeah, I'm not the person that's going to come at Wednesday, Tuesday night. Even the Wonder Years, we started watching the reboot of that. And I was like, oh, this is they really did a good job. But I haven't seen another episode since. So it's just one of those things, like, if I can watch it later and catch up to it, yeah, I think that's the best idea, streaming platform. Definitely streaming platform.
Okay. All right. I can see that. All right. So, we couldn't end this episode without giving our 2 cents on a couple of Black movies that have come out, series and movies that have come out within the last 2 weeks. I mean, clapping for Black content. It has been on and popping between right? Between King Richard, True Story, and Bruised, like, sheesh. So, what do you think of King Richard? I'm gonna kick this off to you.
Oh, we gonna start right off with King Richard off the bat.
I mean, yeah, or
Okay.
start with whichever one you want.
No, I'm gonna go King. I will say it now. Will Smith will win his first Oscar. He will win his first. Yep, I'm calling it.
Okay.
This man. Whoo. So I went in there with a little hate. I'm gonna be quick, really quick. I went in there with a little hate because he had this almost the same voice as when he did Cassius Clay, and
yes.
so. But I remember I was like, oh, a lot of black men. That's just how they sounded back then. So I had to let that subside and then see the character. And so there's a scene, when Venus is being interviewed, and you can do frame by frame. He posted it later, and I was like, oh wow, oh yeah, he got it, he nailed it. This movie. I don't know if people understand. I lived in LA for a little bit, but you don't understand, like, old school LA, growing up in Compton as a black male, and having daughters, and you see that represented in there, like just the idiots that would just come around and getting beat downs, and then to still say, hey, I'm going to make something out of this family. Woo! And the only knock I have is Will is so light. I don't think that you really understand the gravity of that because he's fairer skinned of a black man. Their dad is dark. So a black man at that time in the 80s speaking about this, hey, I'm going to go into your office and these are going to be the future Michael. I have 2 Michael Jordans. Imagine you rolling up to a tennis practice with McEnroe and Pete Sampras.
Yeah, that was huge.
Saying, come see my daughters play. Like you would be arrested before you even got to the gate. And so this whole picture is timeless. One last thing I want to shout out to the wife who plays Brandy Williams. Oh my God, she should be nominated as well. I don't know what other women out there but she killed it. Once again, proving how black women get lost out there in the fray in terms of what they bring to the table, but we don't really acknowledge that as well. And they have an amazing scene that back and forth, like, wait. Do you know? And she calls him out like nobody's business. And that scene, along with and the last thing I'll say, the other scene when he's with Venus, and he tells a story of him being a little kid, and he's like, "This is back in the day when you couldn't touch white people." First of all, people really have to understand that there was a time. So we don't want to talk about critical race theory, but there was a time when you couldn't touch white people. So he is giving money to this man for his father. He touches the white man by accident, and he gets a beat down. And then other people, and his dad is watching him and doesn't do anything because he knows he's gonna get killed. But what do? Your kid is being mauled, and that psychologically, oh my God, on another level. So I understood him a lot more when I heard that story. It gave him, oh my God, it was so powerful. But that scene, I was in tears in that scene. I was like, I couldn't even imagine. I could whether me being the child or me being the father, having to witness at that time. And what can you do? You just pray he knows how to just protect his neck and hopefully he survives, because then we're both dead. So anyway, that's my 2. Please see it. Please see it. Please see it. Please see it. Will, first one, he's gonna win it.
I don't know that I have anything better to say. I'm just gonna I'm gonna echo everything you say and just add in what a visionary Richard Williams was. Like the way it was almost like he had a clear view of what the future was going to look like for his daughters. Like he knew, like he got intel somewhere. Like that's how into his daughter's success. Like for a father to see what he was able to see in those 2 little girls and to do everything that he needed to do to make it happen for them. My God. And I loved that, he wasn't, and I might get some backlash for saying this. He wasn't a Joe Jackson type of father, right? He understood that, okay, yes, I'm basically, rearing them towards being champions, but they also still need to be little girls, right? They have to have this life. So I love that he wasn't just this tunnel vision. So therefore they can't live life outside of tennis. And I think that contributed to them being as well-rounded and as grounded as they are, because they got to be kids, but they also got to pursue their passion. That was amazing. And so also to your point, Angelou Ellis, who plays their mother, she's a beast. I don't know that I've ever seen anything she's done and it's terrible. It's always exceptional. And, you know, the fact that the dynamic between the mother and the father, right? And him not really seeing what she did and her contributions, and that kitchen heart to heart that they had, that I teared up on that. Like, I felt like she did what she needed to do to let this man know, like, hey, I played a part in this too. Don't think that it's just you. Those are my girls too. I loved everything about this movie. It was inspirational. Will Smith, come on. He just doesn't disappoint. All right. True story. Yo, Kevin Hart for president. Kevin Hart is on the Will Smith trajectory. That's my 2 cents in terms of delivering a dramatic role in such a believable and meaningful way. And people say comedians make the best actors because, and you and I feel like we've talked about this, because they have a lot to draw from, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so to see Kevin Hart in this role and deliver it the way that he did, I can see Kevin getting an Emmy and eventually an Oscar at some point. It may not be an Emmy for True Story, but that man is on, he's on a train on the way to winning something, because he's a really good actor. I saw it in Fatherhood. I believed it in Fatherhood. And so this is just yet another confirmation, like, okay, I got you, Kevin.
I thought what I was gonna say was gonna be crazy. You topped my craziness. All right, hey, I'm not gonna hate. So I don't want to cut you off. You done?
I loved Wesley Snipes. As crazy and as insane as his character was, I loved it. And let's not forget, and a lot of people I've been talking to about True Story, the first question is this really a true story? I don't think it's a true story, but it's drawn from.
Yeah, it's pieced together.
You know what I'm saying? Because if people know, Kevin has a tumultuous relationship, I think, with his father. God only knows what issues, Wesley Snipes might have with family members. And I think that's what added on to the believability of this story, and the idea that I don't know that I want to be a celebrity if this is the shit I got to go through. But that's a different episode. How did you feel about it?
Loved it. Piggyback off everything you just said. Shout out to Wesley Snipes, man. Can you say comeback king? Word. I mean, Wesley never fell off as an actor, but just all the drama that's happened in his life, right. You kind of missed that. So it's nice to see him back on the screen. Billy Zane, I mean, I wish he was more in there, but shout out to him just for that episode. Oh man, beautifully done, that scene. Gene, Theo Rossi, who plays Gene. If people remember, he's a badass. He was in the biker shows, he was doing all that stuff. So to see him just really like shrink down to this innocent human being who's just a fan, and his character, I mean, was so. At first, I was like, oh, God, one of these people. But no, you really wind up caring for him later in the show. So that was beautifully done. Kevin Hart, I don't know why comedians feel they have to become actors, like these hardcore actors. Like, you have a genre of fans, you have a genre, you can just kill it and make tons of money. And so you always see these actors, whether it be Adam Sandler or these big comedians that are selling in the comedic world, but they always try to go Will Ferrell and go mainstream. So my point of me saying this is Kevin Hart has stepped up to the par and to the bar. I was going to put him up there with Robin Williams in terms of how funny that someone can be in real life and then turn on the acting. Robin Williams by far is my number one actor of all times in terms of a comedian who flipped the script and did mainstream. Dead Poet Society, one of my favorite movies of all time as a kid. It messed me up. I was like, yo, this movie was so deep. As a young black kid growing up, that was the two movies I cried on: Dead Poet Society and In the Hood, Boys in the Hood. And those movies just messed me up. And so to see those layers, Kevin, man, shout out to you, brother. You were working hard. He wants to be the next billionaire, he said. And I don't want to be rich. I just want, but it's like, I don't want to be famous. I just want to be rich. Give me the money. I don't want to be famous whatsoever. The people knocking on your door just to deal with that. You're 100% all the time on alert, 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 alert. I don't want to be like that. I just want to enjoy my life and just have a good time. So I think we got a little sneak peek into his world, which is kind of interesting to see. Like, imagine that. Like he's one of the busiest people. Him and The Rock are two of the busiest people, in Hollywood. And to think about, like, that's their lives when everything dies down. It never dies down. You have to literally find a fort where you can just like escape and no one can come in. Otherwise, it's go, 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 go. And so they did a brilliant job. I would love to. It kind of sucks the way it ends, because I was looking forward to another season, because that's how it was.
I love that it was short and sweet and to the point. We don't need no other seasons. It was a very specific story that didn't need to be dragged out. It just kind of left us just wanting more, and that's really what a good show wants.
Yeah.
So Bruised. Whew. I love Harry.
Are you bruised? Are you bruised after Bruised?
No, I'm not so bruised, but I do. What I did like about this Halle Berry film is her commitment to her character's craft. Like Halle trained for this. Like, she was in a ring. Like, she went through the motions, which I thought came across genuinely. So I did appreciate that. She also directed this, right? So she's playing multiple roles here. So that was impressive. The storyline I enjoyed the most was between Halle and that little boy, her son, who that was where my sweet spot was. Jackie Justice, okay, great. You fell off, you're back. But I was more interested in the story with her and the kid. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was more like the background noise, right? It was like, oh, you're a fighter.
Right.
The kid didn't say anything the whole movie.
He didn't have to.
But that's how good it was, right? Those on-camera scenes. And I think, for people of color, this is you either know somebody who lived this life, either you lived this life, or you just got out of it. But that's how I felt when that kid interaction with his mother and her mom. It was like, oh God, I know people like this. It's just like, how do you make it out of this? How do you escape? And at the end of the day, it really is just someone picking you up and saying, I love you and caring for you and just trying to find a way for you to get out of it. And I think that's the real moral of the story. Forget the fighting scene, at the end of the day. Right. It's more about just coming to your truth and really understanding who you are as a person. And then that way you can kind of grow.
Yeah, her character's childhood was just, it was a lot. It was a lot. But it explained, her character beautifully. I loved that the victory was really between her and the kid.
Yeah.
Not so much the fighting. Yeah. Right. But the fact that she even got up and fought and made it and was able to redeem herself was equally victorious. So I do love how they plan that out. Go ahead.
Yes, and also that mother-daughter relationship of, like, I've heard so many stories of moms not really believing their daughters about them being molested or raped by people they knew, and you didn't know what was going on, and then that denial. And then later on, she's like, well, if I knew, I would have done something. I'm like, you didn't know? Like, how did you not know? Like, where did you think he was at? Like, that was some deep, deep level stuff, those conversations. And they just slowly scrape the top. But that's a conversation that needs to be happening in a lot of homes, in terms of, like, I have my uncles, cousins, baby's daddy, like, watching the kid, and you don't know what that kid is getting into, right? And where's the love? It's just yelling and yelling and yelling. So how does that mentally affect that kid in terms of who he becomes later on in life?
Sheesh. Yeah, it's a dark film. It's a bit of a dark film with with some light at the end of the tunnel, but getting to that light is difficult.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's worth watching just because it's Halle. I mean, it's not like she wasn't bad. She wasn't, it was just, yeah. Yeah.
That's how I didn't say that. I love the film. Halle, you look great. Call me.
And right? I mean, it was a typical Halle Berry acting. Not that that's a bad thing, but it wasn't like like this new revelation, like this new level of Halle that we've never seen before. It's kind of like the same thing, which
No,
is really
it
good.
was no. I'll disagree with you on this. It was throwback Halle, like back in the day when she had to work.
Oh.
You know, you
When she
saw.
was starting out.
Yeah, she had some rough roles. Everybody forgets she was some rough. They had her looking all haggard and stuff, and then, and you know she was a homeless
Right.
or something like that. And so I love that you got to see the range of, because Holly's been just looking pretty for a long time and just doing her thing. So I like to see when actors go back to their roots, and you kind of saw that she, you know, hey, I can act. I can do a whole movie by myself, and that was beautifully done. I think the supporting cast was great. It wasn't too over the top, which some of those movies can become, those fighting movies. So it wasn't cheesy, I would say.
No, definitely
So
not.
yeah, definitely give it a watch, because there's layers, right? It just depends on what kind of story you're interested in seeing. But it's nice. Even the action scenes, I was like, oh wow, all right, really good.
Yeah, though they were brutal. They
Yeah,
were brutal. I
my
mean,
face. How do I know?
we know Halle can act, right? That's not the question. It's, I would love to see something we're not used to, that we haven't seen before. I feel the same way about Sanaa Lathan. I feel the same way about Gabrielle Union. Like something outside of the comfort zones that we've grown to
Ellen,
see
she got
and
punched in
love.
the face 20 times, Ellen. She's doing roles and all this stuff, and then being a parent. Give us some.
Okay. I mean, she did a fantastic job. She did her thing in that role. I believe that she was Jackie Judge.
She went so outside the box in this movie. She had a moment, and she was a mom, and she was a fighter, a recovering alcoholic. I mean, she did like 5 different levels of acting in the movie.
But we've seen that version before, with the exception of fighting. We've seen her as a drug addict, right? We've seen her as the mother. We've just never seen her in a fight.
Yeah.
Right? So I listen. I'm just gonna back out of this.
Yeah,
that's a whole other episode.
Please send all your hate mail to ellen.com.
I did love that she used a squeeze bottle to hide her liquor. I was like, oh, that's kind of smart. But then why get rid of all the liquor and keep that?
That's true. That's a true alcoholic, Ellen. That's a true alcoholic.
Okay. All right. But then she never went back to it though. But it's just the idea that it's there.
Yeah, and that it was there. Mentally, just like, I know if I need it, I have that too. And I love, and also that scene in the bathroom, she goes anxiety, and she has anxiety, and that's a big. I think there were levels to it. It just depends on what kind of storyline you want. I think you could have made a more rounded story if it was about her being just a parent and kind of dealing with that, a single mom. Because there's it was like almost some pursuit of happiness moments in there. And I was like, oh, this is good. I like that. I want more of that. And so I think if we had more of that and a little less of the fighting, then, you know.
I am here for the Black content, the good Black content.
Keep Black History Month in December.
I mean, right. Yes. And just good quality stuff, man. It was a good week for shout out to Netflix and HBO Max for making it happen. And also
next BET.
Right. Yeah, that's all I have on that. Good show, man. I was looking forward to this conversation with you as always. So any last words on your end?
No, safe travels.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it, and we'll figure it all out. We might be here, might not. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so next week, I'm traveling to Kenya. For those of you that don't know where that is, it's East Africa. And so I will be there for a bit, and we'll be going live from Kenya, hoping that Wi-Fi withstands and all those things that need to work.
Can you bring me back like a shirt? Not like a t-shirt, like is there like a print? Like a
tunic, like a printed tunic?
I don't know. You show me the things they have when you're down. Take some pictures, send them to me.
I'll WhatsApp you pictures and you can pick your outfit.
Yeah, pop it on like.
Okay, I got you.
All right, there we go. That's what we do.
All right, my dear. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. As always, we appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, Ro.
You too. Bye-bye.